Welcome to the Middlemen, where we do not ask questions, we stir the conscience of the nation. Today, as Nigeria marks the midpoint of President Tinubu's time in office, we're not just taking stock, we're cutting through the noise to find clarity and maybe even a cure for our collective silence. What's working, what's broken, and what still lies in the middle. Joining me are three wonderful jurors who are here with insightful cases. Our juror from Rabbi is here with a revelatory case titled Carry Ballot Box Run, which reveals that the progeny of the powerful make laws while those of the poor break these laws for the powerful. Juror Innocent Adulugba wants to know if the APC governor's early endorsement of President Tinubu for 2027 is a reward for performance or just politics as usual. His case, a question titled, Is the APC governor's endorsement of President Tinubu premature? Juror Henry Igwebike reveals the fact that rituals will never replace the grind of real growth in a case titled Ritual for Money. And I, Juror Jumoke Alaode James, will be presenting my case titled President Tinubu at 2, where I will uncover how President Tinubu's 2-year report sound more like bragging than a true reflection of Nigerians' suffering. We will dig deeper into these conversations when we return from this quick break. Please do not go anywhere. My case, President Tinubu at 2. While discussing Ibrahim Traore in the month of May 2025, I asked what President Tinubu has done in 2 years. This is what he said he has done. 1. Bold reforms, measurable results. Here, President Tinubu touts fuel and foreign exchange subsidies removal as his administration's achievement. He said inflation is easing, fiscal policy is improving, public revenue is growing, and more foreign investment is coming in. 2. Tax reform and shared prosperity. President Tinubu praises his government for removing multiple taxation and helping MSMEs grow. He credits his administration for also removing VAT on food, education, healthcare, public transport, and rent. 3. Security gains and youth empowerment. While admitting persistent security challenges, President Tinubu praises the bravery of our security personnel for regaining some territories formerly occupied by bandits. He avoided using the term terrorists and allowing farmers go back to their farms. In youth development, he touted youth-focused initiatives under the National Agency for Science and Engineering Infrastructure, including electric vehicle assembly, drone engineering for women, and rapid diagnostic kit manufacturing. 4. Health, education, and infrastructure push. President Tinubu praised himself for more primary health care centers, cancer and dialysis centers, and health insurance participants growing from 16 to 20 million people. He praised himself for student loans, massive road constructions, and off-grid solar power supply. 5. Cultural diplomacy and diaspora engagement. He was more futuristic in this aspect, talking about a landmark Motherland Festival, diaspora bond, and non-resident bank verifications. In which of these have you benefited as a Nigerian citizen? Here's my verdict. The 2 things I can praise President Tinubu and his cabinet for is living in the bubble and all politicians trying to evade the EFCC running to the APC for cover. I don't even want to compare him to Ibrahim Traore because that would be comparing oranges and apples. Democracy takes time to implement good governance, which dictators implement by fiat and decrees. But President Tinubu praising himself for security while Governor Zulu of Borno State says we have lost more territories to terrorists must be a joke. Removing subsidies that weaken the naira without improving production that would make you self-sufficient, need less foreign exchange, and even earn more from exports is hiding your head in the sand like an ostrich. Praising yourself for student loans that are allegedly fraught with corruption is another level of delusion, while praising yourself for more diaspora inputs because people who japa have to invest more in saving their families back home from hunger is definitely not telling yourself the truth. Using going off the grid, which is only for Aso Rock by the way, and non-resident bank verifications to praise yourself is looking for a needle in a haystack. At this point, I may have to consult Rabbi.
Rabbi is here. Rabbi, please offer your consultation.
Are you done with your case?
Yes, I am.
Well, the intervention to this is that the president is living in a world of his own. Okay. The president have lied to himself, and you know that a lie repeatedly told.
That's to sound true.
If it's not questioned, it becomes the truth. What the president is doing is that he's mocking Nigerians. He knows the truth. He knows he has not performed. He knows that the only project that can be accredited to his name is the Lagos Calabar Coastal Highway. It's the only thing that the government...
Have they started, Sha?
They've started.
Okay.
They've gone to a particular point now. They are going to inaugurate the session 1 upon this scorecard that we have. Okay. So the president's achievement in the last 2 years is nothing to write home about. And I don't know why all over the place, I mean, people are celebrating the fact that he's 2 years in office and that in 2 years he has repositioned the country. I have not seen any repositioning. All I have seen is decline in standard of living. You know, sickness and diseases, poverty at a high rate, cost of living at a very high rate, insurgency, insecurity. We're at the crossroad right now. It took a governor, to come out and tell us the situation of things.
In his state,
pleaded with the president to listen to him and the soldiers,
and not the National Assembly members.
Not listen to politicians. He was talking. He was indirectly telling the president to stop listening to the National Security Advisor Rubadu, who have no capacity on security, who was only trained on law enforcement, civil defense law enforcement. That's what police does, not security itself. So he knew that appointment was the wrong one. Rubadu is a misfit. He does not have the capacity to intercept intelligence or discover one. And what we have...
Which of the president's appointees is not a misfit?
Yeah, what we have is a complete downturn. We have not seen any positive thing about this government. Like I said before, is our life better off, now than it was 2 years ago? That's the best way to start this, to benchmark this thing they're talking about.
Our life is
worse. It's not about the celebration. I learned it to be in Lagos. It's not about the celebration. It's about whether our lives today, were we better 2 years after Tinubu, or we're worse off?
We're definitely worse off.
So we're worse off. So this government couldn't have, this story couldn't have been that the government have changed our lives, things have improved, and it's a good one. The president is doing the right thing.
You did not see that. I reeled out what he mentioned as his own achievements, and he couldn't really pinpoint anything.
Yes,
he couldn't really pinpoint anything.
He said the removal of subsidy was anything.
Is that an achievement?
Anyway, you mentioned a parallel, Traore of Burkina Faso. Short of praising militarism, you could go to Burkina Faso or from the media and see what the Traore is doing.
Yeah.
So kudos to President Tinubu. He has outperformed all the previous presidents before himself in the abstract. Yeah, because nobody can see.
It's only
we didn't think that there could be anybody worse than President Buhari.
No, President Tinubu is better. He has performed massively in the abstract. A lot of his performances,
we cannot see them.
Yes, they are in the air. And you see, I had told Henry the weeks leading to today that come today, President Tinubu will read out his own achievements and credit himself very high. But people, Nigerians, will be searching in the afternoon for all of these things he says he has done. One thing is, under President Tinubu, Nigeria's military has been at the lowest. It is under this government that there are circulated videos of Nigeria's glorious military tied, tortured, killed
Ew.
on open fields. Lots of homes have been rendered husbandless and fatherless. Dialectic to the claims, glorious claims of President.
How could he mention security achievements in his achievements? How?
I sincerely feel that President Bola Ahmed Tinubu is living in a delusion of grandeur. That's what I think he is living in. We actually thought we had escaped the economic gallows of Muhammad Buhari, only to be introduced into the economic concentration camp of Bola Ahmed Tinubu. And you know it's more treacherous to be in a concentration camp. It's better you go through the gallows and know you're over with it than going through the concentration camp.
And living there.
And living there perpetually.
We thought we had a president.
Exactly. You know, so, but what amazed me most is the fact that it's just similar to the story of the naked king who danced around the market square.
Very well.
Who thought all the while that he was wearing a glorious
Royal
gown,
garbs.
robe, you understand, dancing around the market square, and his lieutenants kept telling him,
Yeah.
hey, your robe is fine, it's the most magnificent one. And the king actually thought he was wearing the glorious robe, only until when the little child walked up to him and said,
So the
King, why are
is
you naked?
Yes.
And that was when he realized, so all this while he has been dancing around, he actually was naked. And that is a textbook example of what Bola Ahmed Tinubu is going
Which
through.
child will tell Tinubu that he's naked?
Well, in this
It's a
case,
metaphor.
yes, but
Yeah,
he's
they-
I'm using the
constantly
metaphor to ask the question.
no,
Which
he's
child?
constantly surrounded by security aides and sycophants.
Yes.
God bless you.
So to penetrate that as an in quote intruder is to risk death. President Tinubu's security scorecard for me is underscored by the Nigerian population in IDP camps. And so President Tinubu for me has also scored low on humanitarian grounds. And nothing has been discussed. We don't even have a date
It was-
or a plan or mention of when these
When they
people
will
will
go
leave.
back
It
home.
was rumored that during President Buhari's
Tenure.
reign, they were printing newspapers for him. They didn't know.
He didn't know the reality.
They were giving him dummy copies of newspaper where they painted coloration and all that of how great Nigeria has been. So all through his time, he was never aware of the true reality of things. But now that Tinubu is enough, I think they are doing a bigger job. I think maybe what he's reading something else. That we are not
So
seeing.
maybe they created his own social media.
Yes,
Well,
it's
he's
reading
on social
something
media.
because for
Oh,
him to come out-
he said he's not social
he doesn't want
media.
us to
And they
abuse
bully him.
him.
because for him to come out with that kind of confidence to say that
You have achieved
you
so.
have achieved so much and you are doing that for the glory of the country, you are building all this, you are doing all that, when you are doing nothing actually.
Non-resident bank verification.
Do you know?
Meaning that BVN of people who have Japa, he put it in his achievement.
Are you aware too that President Tinubu has made history? He is the first president in 2 years not to have appointed high commissioners for
all the
embassies abroad.
consulars abroad?
You know,
Of course, they would have retained the old ones because when you are
they are not retained.
No, they sacked them.
Yes,
They are not retained. It's a global vacancy.
No, but the issue
Oh
is that,
my
no,
goodness.
but the issue is that there's an office. It's just that you don't have a high commissioner. You have an
Of
office.
course, it's like
And
having
you have an administration.
It's like
running.
having a ministry without a minister.
Uh-huh.
President Buhari also did it for 6 months. He was
High
discussing
commission,
with
people outside
permanent
Nigeria.
he was discussing with permanent secretaries
secretaries.
of ministries, and he didn't have ministers for 6
But these
months.
ones are old now for some over 6 months in the papers
And
Wow.
someone would ask,
outside Nigeria.
and someone would ask, he said he had paid off our IMF loan of $7.something billion.
But now
Only
he wants to
borrow
take,
21 billion. And someone is asking, can we help him do the maths?
and then somebody else was saying that, but EFCC say they have recovered over 300 billion. Can they just borrow Tinubu 21 out of that 3 billion? Somebody else, when President Tinubu's convoy was driving in Lagos on Ozumba in VI, counted the amount of cars and said by the time he was calculating, he sells cars, by the time he reached 10 billion for cost of the cars on that convoy, he stopped. And I said, my goodness, the cost of cars in the president's convoy can actually build infrastructure for people who live in Nigeria, the poverty capital of the world, to actually create, wealth for themselves. But they are so far detached from the reality of the suffering of the people that one, they praise themselves and they are counting achievements that are in the air. Two, they are living lavishly, like their people are very rich and also living lavishly.
Those cars
rich politicians representing extremely poor people. Is that not wickedness?
Those cars are the ones in Lagos. They didn't bring them from Abuja.
Don't tell
They didn't
me.
bring them
No,
from
they
Abuja.
didn't fly them from Abuja. He flew to Lagos.
Those cars are the ones in Lagos.
So the Abuja convoy is different.
There's a different one.
Of course.
Entirely.
So your friend should go to Abuja
So
and
you
count.
should go and do more counting. This is just what they counted is not enough.
it's actually despicable. I was at the Obafemi Awolowo University Teaching Hospital just a couple of days back, and it was really galling to observe that a top-tier tertiary facility built in 1967 could not carry out full blood count test because there was no electricity.
Wow.
I watched patients asked to go back home because there was no electricity to carry out a simple blood test in a tertiary institution.
And
This is to
the-
tell you
and
how
the
bad.
teaching
Did you see
And they are both
Nigerian
generators.
students doing WAEC in darkness this week?
Writing
Right, 7 p.m.,
Delta
9
State.
p.m., 10 p.m. writing WAEC exams
in Delta State as well.
in darkness.
Don't like this, you're dead.
The cost of cars in our president's convoy in Lagos alone, and he's even celebrating going off the grid. Abeg, let's go on a quick break. When we return, Juror Evans Ufeli will present his case titled "Carry Ballot Box Run." Do stay tuned. We'll be right back.
Welcome back. This is still the middleman of jurors. My case. Carry ballot box run. Ex-Governor Ibori's daughter we held House Committee on NDDC at the National Assembly. Ex-Governor Nasir El-Rufai's son we held the House Committee on Banking Regulations. Ex-Governor Alawa Kala's son we held the House Committee on Youth in Parliament. Ex-Governor Oshoba's son we chair the Committee on Justice. But it is the son of a nobody that will snatch ballot boxes and rig election on election day. My verdict, carry ballot box run in 2027. I shall go to Rabbi again.
Nigerian
This
masses will never make
this is
sense.
unlike Rabbi. It's
Today
just
he's
one
not
paragraph.
poetic. He's not poetic today.
One paragraph only.
I think Rabbi know the house.
And you see, he has made a big point.
Rabbi know the house. But the child of the poor man,
Me and my ilk.
progeny, as I said it in the opening statement, they can never have sense. Did I not say last week how somebody owing loan apps 500,000, borrowing, buying data of 20,000 a month, only to come online to come and be abusing, this one is Igbo, that one is Hausa, no, it's our son that is in government. He has no achievement, nothing to even show the world that he is doing with his life. Instead of buying data on that borrowed money to push forward his small business on social media, is to come and be fighting for politicians whose children are now leading them. They abuse all of these SA to PA to SA to SSA to Kinikon that are in their 50s and 60s. You serve the father, you are still serving the children of the politicians. See Wike giving us excuses of why he's taking his sons on tour or everywhere that he's going to. Young men. Meanwhile, old men will stay on Twitter and be hailing Wike. Why would Juju be that?
Anyway, I want to ask, how long have these children, because it's looking like we've just read a political dynasty. Yeah, how long have these children been in these respective houses that they qualified to to
To
these
head.
chairs, are they the most experienced? Are they the most capable, or is their parents, their forebears' capacity paying off? That's my own.
Well, it's actually rotational.
well.
It is not chairing.
It's not
committee.
meritocracy.
No, chairing a committee is rotational. You know, that was the issue Natasha had.
Rotational from zone to zone.
Yes. No. It all depends on where you are. You know, you might be in this committee. This time you get switched to another one. So it all actually
And the
depends.
turn has just reached
There-
this
Maybe it got to
there-
them and
there are two layers of politics in the National Assembly. First is the politics to qualify, to win from your constituency. When you win from your constituency and you get into the House, another politicking starts. That is to select principal members.
To be in the juicy
to
committees.
select principal members. That politics has to do with influence. That politics, ex-governors are involved, ex-ministers are involved, ex-presidents are involved in that politics. So by the time they throw up the selected few who will head committees, by the time they throw it, the one that has to do with selection and the region where you come from, definitely the number 10 man must come from somewhere. If the president is
From somewhere. And then
if the deputy is a Hausa, then the 10 man will come
be
from
Igbo or South.
So that one is given.
Wait, is
But
that
the
in
one that
our
has to do-
constitution or is political parties who do that?
The constitution in section 14(3)
Yes.
talk about inclusiveness.
Okay.
That you must
Include
make-
all regions.
So, but the one that has to do with heading committees, that one is purely influence and your power,
To
your
lobby.
your backbone, who you know. That is why you have the sons and daughters of ex-governors populating that area, because their fathers are involved, their fathers' friends are involved, ex-presidents are involved, the emirs are involved. Everybody is politicking.
Please, can I cite
to
an
get those
example?
useful
I do not know who the godfather of one boy, senator representing Ebonyi, North Central, right? He's 40, is he 43 or 47? 43.
Yeah.
This is his first time in the Senate, and he is the chief whip, minority chief whip, or something like that. He's a minority
Up
leader.
to today.
Yes.
with huge
After
users
that
value.
infamous collision
He
with
maintained his
Dr.
seat.
Obieze Kwesili,
He
no
main-
sanction.
Nothing, because
Okay.
he's in support of Senate
Akpabio.
President Akpabio. Now, what did you say? Of zero nuisance value. So the point I wanted to draw out is we had never heard of him prior to 2023. So that is, we would have thought that was meritocracy because he's not the son of anybody that we know, and he was not a former governor or anything.
no.
He's a young man, not too young to run. But what is he using that influence for? He is to be
It is
supporting somebody accused of sexual harassment. Is to be looking down from airplane and saying, oh, this place, they need to clear it.
So, but what you should know is,
We are seeing zinc roof.
even though you don't know
It's
who is
delusional.
backing, even though you don't know, even though we cannot identify who is backing him, he didn't walk in there alone.
Yeah, but the position of a deputy
Chief whip.
in the house is not a big deal. No,
it's
it's
not.
not a position that people rush.
Yeah,
It's for
exactly.
beginners, they give them for experience.
Minority
So that,
now, minority leader.
So that they can
But
begin
it's
to
from
learn-
there. It's from there the
learn the
Senate
rules.
president emerged.
So what is he learning?
Learn the rules of the. No, he's not learning anything.
Ewo.
What he's doing is that he's playing eye service.
Ewo.
What he's trying to do is to be in favor of the Senate president and the who is who in the house.
So maybe they can give him a good committee.
So that in so doing, he may end up maybe coming back again.
Yeah, definitely.
And you know that idea he muted at the House of the plenary.
Yes.
Was it plenary or just the
It's
National
a
Assembly?
committee.
I think it's Senate.
He was
Yeah,
Senate.
it's your Senate.
Yes, he's a senator.
You know, was an idea that is so flawed
Ewo.
that the Senate president could not help.
Even the senators themselves quickly flung the
Yeah,
idea.
they had to throw it away because I mean, what are you trying?
What are you saying? That they should go and wipe out a whole
Somebody-
village?
So does that mean that in his constituency, that's an APC person?
Yes.
The opposition parties, Labour, PDP,
PDP.
didn't have a human being better than him?
Well,
What did excuse me? What did he say?
Carry ballot box,
Okay, according to the
carry ballot box.
because he has not inspired.
Oh God, that's why we are saying it's the children of poor that we carry ballot box for those who wants to get into power.
You know, but jokes apart, as much as we laugh at some of these things and look at these people, I think it was Mahatma Gandhi and Hubert H. Humphrey that had this quote together, that the measure of a society is how it treats its most vulnerable. This is a moral crisis in our society, really. And we can see the most vulnerable amongst us are those that are used as foot soldiers to carry out activities of the elite. And this is to depict and show how our society is and how continuously it will be. It is not a good sight. As much as we, of course, chuckle at some of these things that these people do, it is not a good sight, because if you take a look at it in the future, we don't have a society.
Okay, but
you can be guilty of anything you like in this world, but don't ever be guilty of your Nigerian poverty.
Ewo.
The Nigerian poverty is
I will never be poor in my life.
the Nigerian poverty is not just a temptation.
Ewo.
It is in fact, because poor people in Nigeria compete with one another. They compete. The poor try to crush the poor.
Ewo.
Okay. By the time they meet the rich don't want to even see them at all. Okay, so that is why you could have people at National Assembly, government workers, earning so much, earning up to 20 million per month.
Per month.
One person. Then you now have...
That is outside of kickbacks from contract to...
You now have the same...
Remember off the mic.
The same government officials will sit in a round table to discuss how 70,000 naira is too much for the average Nigerian.
Wisdom!
So at the end of the day, what you have is just a bunch of people who are wicked.
Ewo.
The Holy Writ says that when the righteous is in power, the people rejoice. Conversely,
when the wicked is in power,
the wicked are in power, the people
mourn.
will suffer.
Oh,
so that's exactly what is going on. How shameful is how shameful can it be for you to earn that much and feel that the next person standing before you
does not deserve
a
little more.
To earn. And at the end of the day, what you have is that the lack of egalitarianism. Society cannot have equilibrium. In civilized countries, countries like Japan, you see policies on how they are trying to line,
poor gap.
that line,
they are trying to collapse it. They are trying to collapse it.
They are pulling people out of poverty in mass
yes.
to make sure that line does not exist. It's completely flattened and blurred. But here, we are widening it.
Is that not why one boy who was a nobody prior to 2023 will now sit in a plane in 2025 and look out and say, we need to go and wipe out that village. I don't want to see zinc.
Anyway, but from what we are discussing, carry ballot box and run, it won't end. It seemed to be well propagated and funded by the government.
They call it weaponized poverty.
You see, let me just summarize this way. Poor, there are not just the APC, even coming from the PDP. What you see as constituency project is money given to an assembly person. He takes it to his constituency. A list of party supporters are prepared. Then if it is Korokwe buses, fridge, dispatch bikes,
grinding
whatever
machines,
they are, the names will be read out. It will now be on TV that Barrister Evans Ofeli went to empower. You wouldn't know who he is empowering. So I've heard people, ordinary, let me know the word ordinary.
We discussed it last week.
Yes, I've heard
I was saying that my senator, when I accused him of not doing any empowerment in my constituent, he's no longer my senator, so if he has gone to Ogun State, his people came back and said, did you not see he did this, he did that? We discussed it last week, and when I found out, he was party loyalist.
Yes, a woman I know has been crying.
They will put their names
Sorry,
down.
that when her neighbor told her to join the party during election, she didn't. That woman now went around, canvassed, and was in the word eye service in people's faces when they gather at their meeting. Oh, she has brought 10 people. And now she has a Korokwe.
Yes, so they are giving them Korokwe.
Well, give it to women, no. Politicking at the rural, at the grassroots. Give it to Nigerian women. They may not be very effective.
Excuse me. Why can't they go for leadership? Why must they be the one sharing rapper and collecting Korokwe?
I think that they
are reward for labor.
I'm saying they are more involved at the grassroots level.
We are saying the same thing.
And they are motivated by the reward of the hustle.
If you go to the villages, if you see how serious these women take this political, you will not believe it. When they are going for their political meetings, if you see how dressed
with their double rapper,
yes, how they dress, how serious they take this thing, and at the end of the day, when the benefit comes, it should come to them.
As Korokwe.
Yes, it should come to them.
And grinding machine.
Until pending when we're able to change the hands of.
You know that the people they are giving grinding machines to don't grind pepper. They go and sell it.
Yeah.
The person that they are giving Korokwe and keke to does not ride keke, does not drive Korokwe. They will go and sell it.
But what do we think? Sadly, we're thinking about the most vulnerable are those who are, scraping together a living. How about those who are emotionally vulnerable? Look at Cubana chief priest, who is on a kneeling spree.
Ewo.
Everywhere he goes,
that one is looking for
hoping.
support.
Of course, he's vulnerable.
Lagos State just shut down his restaurant, so he's vulnerable. He needs the power at the top
for
them to open his restaurant.
And he is ready to steal ballot boxes, metaphorically,
yes,
just to ensure
his
that
business gets back.
Very true. Very true.
Okay. Juror Harry Webike will present his case titled Ritual for Money right after this break. Don't go anywhere.
Welcome back to the Middlemen of Jurors, and thank you for staying with us. My case, Ritual for Money. Show me a society riddled with poverty, and I will show you a people in that same society immersed in cultural myth, superstition, folklore, unsubstantiated, hypnotized faith and fear. Unlike the Igbo entrepreneurship system, christened Igbo Boy, now studied and researched at Ivy League schools abroad, with journals and research papers published on it, with the hope that anyone can replicate and become successful entrepreneurially. Sadly, I am still very much amazed that people who are within the reach of this dexterity are still drawn to ritual killing for money. Often linked to beliefs in money rituals, a cultural myth that is totally not scientific. Some of these beliefs are rooted in superstition, folklore, and fear, not biology or economics. The human body has no physical property that can create money through magical or spiritual processes, and hence shouldn't be substituted for hard work, resilience, and purpose. The Enugu native doctor caught in the barbaric act of ritual killing for money remains a crime of homicide, a criminal act, and not mysticism. My verdict: Apostle Abel Damina, the very controversial man of God, rightly puts it: if Nigeria can and would someday become developed infrastructurally, economically, and politically, there wouldn't be people in our churches anymore screaming the loudest amen, because they have been promised to one day buy houses or cars. Ideally, these and more are essential amenities available to everyone in developed climes without the loudest amen to own them.
See, he was exposed by a 13-year-old that he had kidnapped and was trying to kill, and the girl, her voice was the loudest ever in the neighborhood, shouting, screaming. And vigilantes in the neighborhood, came to her rescue, and she told her story. She was speaking Igbo, so I didn't understand how what she was saying, how she was attracted by him. But I read more on the situation. He has a club of 15 young people. He will tell them, bring 500,000 or 250,000 to join this club, and then bring your girlfriend or bring somebody. And all of them have to bring somebody. He professes to do rituals for them to make them rich. However, the young man who was telling his own story says he only has 100,000 naira in his bank accounts now, and he couldn't leave because they say either you bring 4 people to join to come and drop 250 each, or you pay 1 million naira. A club of ritualists who are looking for quick money. We have it all over tribes in Nigeria. Harrison, as I was speaking 2 or 3 weeks ago, calls the Yorubas skull miners, because you will find people who still believe in ritual killings also in the Yoruba tribe. I don't know about the Hausas or Northerners if they do such, but again, it speaks to how we've lost the moral value of hard work that we used to have. The Yorubas in the past will say, remember the child of whom you are. Do not denigrate the family name, you know. So you would live an austere life. You would stay in your small corner of the world, you know, as far as you can feed, you know, your family, send your children to school. You're not looking to buy a private jet or own the largest mansions. You can feed your family and send your children to school and maybe afford, you know, healthcare. But now, with the way the Babangida boys started spending oil money, and we made it seem like it is wrong to be poor in Nigeria, everybody started looking for fast money. You will find that we no longer have young people who are looking to learn trades, right? Do plumbing, do mechanic work or anything like that. The technical knowledge, tiling. We import tilers from Togo, right? They are more austere. They are more, we call them laid back in Nigerian parlance, because they are not so driven for wealth or quick.
Get rich quick.
Get rich quick is the right description. But the Nigerian boys, look, there's Yahoo. Why do you want to go and learn mechanic or tiling or carpentry or tailoring? The young girls themselves, we used to learn tailoring. In fact, once you come out from secondary school, while they are waiting for JAMB to jam you, you would go and learn, you know, hairdressing or tailoring or something. We don't do all of those anymore. Everybody's looking for get rich quick. I want to be an social media influencer where you are paying me, you know, millions to just, God bless you, to just come and say, oh, buy this Jumoke hair cream or that's the Jumoke skincare. Everybody is just in a haste. And we must blame leadership, political leadership, our religious leadership, right? The pastor who ought to use his church building for creating employment will convert the warehouse to a church and ask you to come and pray for God to drop money into your pocket.
You know, let me come in here. 2 examples I'll give. The political leadership and the church leadership. A reverend father said over a newspaper, I was listening to a newspaper review. Back then, you know, the Buhari government has banned call back for newspaper review. Then people used to call in. I used to know one. One family, not to Mohammed, one madam.
Yes.
Yeah. So in the newspaper review, one of the headlines is that a reverend father says they should close down. He wrote an op-ed, a Catholic priest, that they should close down all churches that call on congregation to come to church between Monday and Friday morning to evening, and match those people to look for work. Then weekend, go and worship God. Don't go to church and lie down.
That's a Catholic priest, eh?
Yes.
Don't they do Catholic early morning mass?
Morning mass is 30 minutes, 1 hour. You're off.
Okay.
You know, a mass is a celebration of the Eucharist.
Okay.
That just, you take your readings for the day and off you go.
Okay.
If you go to any Catholic church, say 7:30 a.m.
They are done.
You won't meet anybody.
Okay.
If some people on their way to work, that's their form of morning prayer.
Okay.
You know. So, and in that newspaper review, callers were insulting
the Catholic priest.
Yeah, they were calling him mundane names, and that no wonder he's a lazy Catholic priest, no wife, he doesn't know what, you know. So my second example is this. My lecturer says, were it to be possible, Nigerians will kill God.
It's a lie.
And at the time, I've never heard that God can be killed. That the duties of government, like Henry in the developed world, road, employment, Nigerians now fast overnight for God to tar roads, for God to give light, for God
to own God.
To own now. You know, so that's where we are.
Anyhow, so my case is, I think society degenerated because it allowed itself unregulated. I remember then in the 80s when we were growing up, nobody was talking about becoming rich. We're just growing up. We're playing when we should play. We go to school when we should go to school. We're just living as a human being, as we should just live.
Happy community.
You understand? So then in Kaduna, we're not talking about how to become anything. All of a sudden, we just discovered that people can be very wealthy and oppress others. Then use the money, spray it, get the money from everywhere. As we were going about that, Nollywood happened. Nollywood now brought in money rituals and overblew that ideology, blew it out of proportion. It don't look like this is actually real. From living in bondage, which was the first
Nollywood movie.
Living in bondage was about blood money. Until the one day they're about to release tomorrow, you have blood money, all the teams and all that. So it became like a national anthem. So when people started going to meet all these Obalagu and all that, to do all that, as that was going on, Yahoo happened.
And there's Yahoo Plus.
Yes, the Yahoo happened, and when it wasn't paying again, they now did the Yahoo Plus. That Yahoo Plus includes
money rituals.
Money rituals and kidnapping.
Yes.
Okay? And so society allowed itself unregulated. Then the parents too, before the household name is very important. It's like the Holy Grail. You keep it, you protect it. The generation before you kept it and protected it. It is not you that will soil it. It is sacred. But today, even the parents are supposed to be the custodian of that Holy Grail have taken it and given it to pigs. Now, it does not matter whether
you are a prostitute or Yahoo. It's your mother that will be saying, she Yahoo, all your friends are doing Yahoo.
All the first some of them will tell me that thing other people are pressing. Why can't you go and press money out for me? Then they started HK. Women will take their children and go and register them. In Benin, they have association of Yahoo women, Yahoo boys mothers. Yes.
Is it registered with the corporate affairs?
It was in the news now. Yes, you see, complain about it then. Association of Yahoo boys mothers, something like that. So we have our value, our whatever it is all gone eroded. So now we're just living.
Is there a solution inside?
The solution would be to reorientate the Nigerian entity, the Nigerian person, the child. The solution is not for those who are spent. It's for those who are coming.
And our own generation is spent too.
The one coming, the ones coming. But unfortunately, the ones coming, they are not as strong and resilient as our generation. Well, because our generation is the most unfortunate generation in Nigeria. Those born in the 80s, the early 80s, we served our parents and we came back to serve our children. Yeah, anyway, because at that time, it is fashionable that you must do everything to make sure that the home front is okay. Okay? Then in the long run, when you leave the house, you got married, you're not giving birth to the generation coming after the Alpha generation.
They are very emotional.
Those ones are very weak.
They are very emotional.
They have mental health issues.
Yes, so.
They have chest issues. They have every issue.
You don't need to abuse them. If you just abuse them, oh no, mental health. Oh, my mental health.
I'm thinking.
In my days, there was no mental health.
Part of the problem may also have been caused by Nigeria's political class. People you
I put it at their table. I put it at their door.
That you voted for in March, if you see them in June, they are
You can't be
making
collecting 20 million.
wait, now they are making
and not
triumphal
change in
entry.
2 months.
You-
Yes,
yeah,
now.
you change in 2 months.
You not change in 2
So-
months.
so-
And 40 million in your kitty.
Two
What
months
do you mean?
2 months is too far.
So when you see this,
Once they give you the first 20 million, you're already pricing their house in Abuja.
Before you complete.
That 20 million or 2 months is not part of their largesse. There are other rackets.
I mentioned it now that when you enter juicy committee, like you know NDDC committee now, they were probing what was happening, and the chairman was already pointing fingers at, oh, they are now they collect the contract, so minus your salary and wardrobe allowance and car allowance and everything allowance,
So that's
newspaper
my point,
allowance, you will still come
Hardship
and you will still come
But
and
they get hardship allowance.
so that you have taken when
They are going through hardship then.
when Amechi became minister, he was saying to Buhari that the least rent that he saw in this Abuja is 4 million naira. He's going through hardship.
Okay, so where I'm landing is it now puts pressure on, and like you said, an average happy family. You know, there is an unspoken oppression, like
I better pass my neighbor.
like a parent is not trying, and a child unspokenly, unintentionally begins to compare his parents
To the other
With
parent.
with the other man who
pressure.
got elected which day,
Peer pressure.
or you and my mate supporting a politician. They are no more at this level.
True.
They've gone.
Very
But
true.
all in all, I will say that the faults of children are the failings of parents.
I agree.
From where I sit,
Marcos Arroyo.
I might be wrong.
No, you're not.
Where I'm saying I might be wrong, but I don't believe there are Gen Z children. Like Barrister Evans just said, we served our parents. Why can't we create a structure for our children?
To serve you.
Yes, so you in my father. Sorry, I will
There are
land.
few families too
Yes,
where they have defined.
yes. In my
they
time, if I get home with one pencil that is not mine, I can get 6 strokes of the cane.
Ewo.
Yes, as an under 10. But you see, a child. I was watching an interview on one of the TV stations. The girl says she works at a filling station. Her salary is 23,000. A woman was asking her buying fuel, and the girl had the phone. How much is this for? Is it 350?
Jesus.
Who do you live with? Say my mother. So you take 23,000, you use a phone
use iPhone.
that grosses your annual income and sleep peacefully without your mother. So the balancing, the government has their own, the family has
This
their
one
own.
sleeps with her mother. There
Yes.
was an 18-year-old or 19 talking about she moved out when she was 17. She's been living with her boyfriend for 2 years.
It's actually a very sad reality that we have right here, and with the young ones claiming that school now scam, and of course you can't blame them, because if you take a look at those what those who go to school earn, you ask yourself, is this what you love to do? And for many of them, they wouldn't want to do that. Lekki Phase 1, yes, is everywhere you go to, you see young lads that you can't tell what exactly they do, but of course they all living
Driving
wealthy,
big cars.
living well.
Wearing skimpy clothes.
Yeah,
No, they are working hard.
When a
Very
professor
sad
is earning
reality.
400,000,
400,000.
can you blame them?
And can that feed the
and
family in a
and-
month?
And one other issue I wanted to add is that kudos to the federal government. All students of technical school now will earn 45,000 naira from next month.
Nice.
Yes.
So that's a Tinubu's
That's an
achievement.
achievement.
He did not tell us. He didn't tell us
The
so.
federal government says so, and it's a very good
This
idea.
one is not in the clouds.
It's a very good idea because
Wow, so that would mean lots of people enroll in
Yes,
technical
now,
school,
because you
yeah.
want to go and collect that 45
because
years.
we're losing it technically.
Yes, now.
So
We
let
are
them-
importing tilers from Togo.
Yes, so that's a
Very
good
true.
one.
All right, we'll go on a quick break, and when we return, Juror Innocent Aduluba will present his case titled, "Is the APC governor's endorsement of President Tinubu premature?" Please stay with us.
Thanks for still being here with us on Enterprise TV, holding the tradition for truth. Plenty of inciting analysis going on in-house with the middlemen of jurors. My case: is the APC governor's endorsement of President Tinubu premature? 7 days ago, the Progressive Governors Forum endorsed President Bola Tinubu as the sole candidate of the All Progressives Congress for the 2027 presidential election. This is exactly 7 days before President Tinubu marked the halfway point of his administration. I'm wondering, what were the yardsticks without any scorecards? Is this historic or premature? The governors in bloc say their support for Tinubu's re-election bid is predicated on the fact that having Tinubu as the sole flag bearer for a second term in office will speedily catalyze Nigeria to get to her destination faster in prosperity. Accordingly, the governors declared that they are charged to also take responsibility to market the federal government's policies, to occupy all political spaces in their domain, and take further responsibility for winning all elections in their states come 2027. Additionally, there is mass defection into the APC, preeminently Governors Sheriff Oborewori and Umo Eno of Delta and Akwa Ibom states respectively. It is therefore touted that barring any formidable opposition, the APC is set to stroll unopposed to victory in 2027. Meanwhile, 7 days after, which is today, in his speech, President Tinubu has defended his early policy decisions such as the removal of fuel subsidies and the unification of the foreign exchange market, describing them as painful but essential to prevent a total collapse marked by inflation, debt, default, and a weakened naira. President Tinubu also scored himself high on the fight against insecurity as well as infrastructure delivery. However, the masses are on the streets waiting for the administration of Mr. President to convince them with tangible pragmatics. Again, the hope for the masses to vote out the APC is very bleak, as there is presently no resolute opposition party on ground for them to make such a choice. My verdict: it seemed the masses are not the priority of governors or elected representatives. So they really need to hold demonstrations to voice their frustrations, else same politicians will rule them again. That's my case.
Three things in this case for me. One, President Tinubu, and this is 27 APC governors, if I'm right, they are running to have 37. No. President Tinubu never loses any elections, right? Either he snatches it, and runs with it, or he wins at the courts.
Or he sweeps them clean.
Whatever.
Yes.
In Lagos State, the APC would have 20 over 20 local governments in House of Representatives elections, in local government elections. Hardly would you find, maybe in Okoko, maybe you will get one PDP rep. Because they are predominantly Igbo, right? But he hardly loses elections. The people who are scoring him high, they're not doing it for the masses, like you mentioned. They're doing it for their own political relevance. They know what he wants is to win elections. So by hook or crook, omission or commission, they win all their elections, because for them, democracy is not multi-party, right? It's about having one Baba Sokbe and everybody else falling in line. Thirdly, is the part of the masses where we ought to hold governments accountable. We ought to say, you have failed in government and you're not coming back. But because poverty has been weaponized and majority of the Nigerian populace are poor, right? We're looking for survival. Even in religious terms, you won't go and preach to a hungry man. So if a politician brings money to a hungry man, he's going to collect the money first. There was a video, somebody talking about this government, and she, elderly lady, was saying, we are suffering, we are poor, we are this, we are that. And they said, will you vote President Tinubu? And she said, yes. She cannot correlate that start collecting 5,000, 10,000 to vote, a failing government into power is directly proportionate to her standard of living. Who is going to explain that to them?
Election have consequences.
Yes, it does.
And one of the most unholy place to go look for survivor is to go after a deceit-infested politician, a Nigerian politician, whom will deceive you at every point in time. One of the things that Tinubu does not know how to do is governance. He will skip governance to politics at every point. In the history of Nigeria, all he knows is politicking all the way. He has never learned governance. He has never led. The time he led Lagos, he was politicking, he was doing. That was why he was able to capture Lagos thereafter. After leaving the seat of the governor, he remained the governor of Lagos State for the 30 years and more. Politics, that is what he understands. He will never govern. Let's just know that even if he comes back in 2027, the next phase of his politicking will be
how to replace himself.
How to now get a successor. The first 4 years is politicking to get the second 4 years. Then after the second 4 years is the politicking to get a successor. Tinubu does not govern. Tinubu politics. So we should know that. That is why
wisdom.
There is no governance in sight as we speak.
Very true.
He's the only governor, the only president in Nigeria after 2 years of his administration, with all his failures, with all his wrong policies, with all the hardship, everyone
around him,
everyone in the country have turned around and endorsed him before even the 4 years complete. No, it has never happened before.
So it's historic.
Yes.
Yes, it takes a political machine to, because if you are governing, you won't really have time for what is going on. If you go to Abuja, everywhere is campaign 2027. There's nothing, everywhere is billboard. Even in Lagos, they've started in Lagos now. The billboards are coming up in Lagos gradually. Okay. So he's been politicking. That's just what he's doing. At the end of the day, look wonder
he saw nothing wrong with Buhari's 8 years.
He didn't, yeah, because look at where we are now. Governors are pulling out from their political party
and joining ABC.
Everybody's hailing him with the suffering in the land. He has used propaganda, he has used politics, he has used all kinds of tactics. Okay, to make sure that now he's penetrating the southeast gradually. Oganeze Ndigbo has endorsed him for 2027. You understand? Because even when Oganeze Ndigbo has the opportunity to not to throw that thing away, using now the Kanu to negotiate it, they threw it away to him. They left there. So it's just
the southeast, they've been unfortunate with their governors. I'm so sorry.
Continue that, I'm sorry, and that is very unfortunate because by the end of 2026, maybe the whole country, maybe by then we'll have one
political party.
Yeah, because as we speak now,
Innocent in his case mentioned that there's no viable opposition because if you ask the members of Labour Party why they are having this leadership tussle, they will point at the president.
Yes, very, very true. And
they will point at the president.
Yes, and I remember in Abuja when he was being endorsed by parliamentarians, one key thing he said there, I just said it when you were opening. He said, sweep them clean. Sweep them clean. And there's this African adage that says when a young lad, is being led by his father to rob, the morale is there. That motivation is more than he would ever have imagined. So instead of knocking on the door of someone he wants to steal, he uses the leg and wants to
kicks
break
down
it because
the door.
The father is behind him. And that is what we see today. I was reading through where Ojus Okalu, the convicted but whose sin was, of course, forgiven.
Once he joined the APC.
Yes, once he joined the APC. Said that since 1960, that President Bola Ahmed Tinubu is the most courageous president who removed subsidy.
Did you see Uzokalu's, you people wear red chieftaincy cap? He was in full red.
Full regalia, yes. With
Tinubu 2027.
Yes, exactly. And that was when he said that we are used to paltry sums, so that Tinubu is there to make us work harder.
So the people Uzokalu represents from Abia, as their rep, is that their message?
Well, ask the people that Akpabio represents, because Akpabio has or had an EFCC case of amassing wealth accruable to the people of Akwa Ibom. That case either swept under the carpet or has disappeared.
Is dead.
No, there is the
APC
political archbishop
Adam Toshomole.
The APC
now
political archbishop,
aka Gandolas.
No, that's their political imam.
Okay.
Depending on the.
They will just put their hands on you and your EFCC case disappears. But you see, the issue is we're not holding the politicians accountable for the things they're doing in power. We're rather, because they have apologists who hail them, we're rather hailing them for politicking. So regardless of what happens in your daily life, you cannot buy bread, egg is out of reach, people are failing jam, we are writing WAEC in the dark. You cannot go from Lagos to Abuja without the fear of terrorists kidnapping you. The president comes to reel out his own achievements.
Glorious ones.
And he's mentioning far-fetched things from the air.
Yes. Like
non-resident bank verification, diaspora bond, traditional festival, all sorts of funny things. And you wonder what's really happening in Nigeria.
Okay, so look at it this way.
Why are you and I not on the streets demonstrating?
Before the president got to that full midterm, so we can assess him, a group, representatives of the people elected, have already declared him pass.
Yes.
You know,
I'm pass mark, whereas the people they represent are groaning. So what they did is a misrepresentation of who the president is. They presented the president to the people as a success, whereas this president is a complete colossal failure, a pathological failure, that our lives as citizens have degenerated to a point where people cannot even make ends meet any longer.
I wanted to talk about the particles of his achievements that he mentioned, like removing fuel subsidy. They saved amount of money. They saved amount. Let's even say, because Ojikalu said that he's the only one with bravery enough to remove fuel subsidy. Okay, where the funds gained that now, as our foreign reserve now quadrupled, we are still borrowing money. We have removed subsidy on forex. You have floated the naira. Naira is on the free fall.
So
where's the money?
He said
eventually,
where's the money? It's a parachute to land.
You find its balance when you are not producing.
So this is another point.
They are importing everything from two.
So the masses now, the masses, it is their prerogative. Sorry, in a multi-party system, if you don't like party A, to vote party B. But I can say here that the death or failure or fall of the Labour or PDP is the strength of the APC. Such that as the main opposition party, the PDP is no longer standing. It's leaning. And it's leaning towards the APC.
Wike is even
so we don't now know, like I would say, Plateau, a PDP state besieged by Boko Haram and Fulani headsmen. We don't know what Governor Muftwang will be offered to negotiate if we hear that Plateau governor has defected. We don't also know if the gentleman Mba of Enugu is on the cliffhanger.
Once they promising second term, that's it.
You know, but my point now is, where is the hope of the mass? Because even if we go to the streets without arms, the masses are shot for demonstrating. So where is there a hope in sight?
Well, for me, I do not think that, because Tinubu has been able to capture, everyone. But one thing I know for sure is this, going back to history and looking at Nigeria, I have this saying, I do not know if anyone would agree to it, that God is a Nigerian with a green passport. Nature abhors vacuum. Whenever the earth, goes through a seismic movement, it is there to balance itself. So nature has a way of balancing itself. Between 1996 and 1997, 98, I remember General Sani Abacha then, on NTA, the advert then was, who does the cap fit? And there was a transition, a very smooth one, from his military to Barrett. And there was this 1 million man march in Abuja.
In support of him.
In support of. So just exactly what's happening now.
I was also mentioned that Tinubu is Abacha's mentee.
Everybody rallied around Sani Abacha. And I'm telling you, if not that nature took its course, who knows, Sani Abacha would have been the Paul Biya.
Very true.
Yeah, except that this thing will
Are we waiting for nature again?
Yeah, except that this thing we call karma and nature, the cosmics and the universe. With due respect to the cosmic administration of the universe, it has its own ways, okay? But
watching the people fool themselves.
The ways of nature is not always redemptive.
And timely.
Yeah, it's not always redemptive. That's why a lot of people are advocating for the installation of the African gods.
I agree.
That the African god could do justice.
I agree.
Because you see this cosmic administration of the universe. It's like God. God is sitting on the mercy seat. He's too merciful. The outflow from the belly of God
is love
to humanity.
Is love.
Is so much so of love that even when people are dying,
or even when people are killing people,
and he gives a long latitude that for people to repent.
At the end of the day, just like the analyst that they were talking about Tinubu, that Tinubu have removed subsidy, that all he did is for the future, the future. The man now says, "Excuse me, presenter. By the time we get to that future, all of us would have died."
Very true.
It should have policies that will put food on our table right now.
God bless you.
So that we will survive that
and future. See that future.
Yes, we'll survive that future. So at the end of the day, the nature will take its own course, but it just.
So we should be swearing in by Songo and Amadioha.
We should have some solution, quick fix solution.
The China will
that is why
carry out gunshot to the or
that is why you see the ECOWAS is losing its grip. Because
they are celebrating 50 years. Yeah. Meanwhile, they have lost 3 states. Ivory Coast is on his way out.
1, 3, 5, 6 now. Gabon, 6.
Ivory Coast is on his way out.
Gabon is in Central Africa. Gabon is in Central Africa.
It's in Central Africa. Okay. Now you've had like we have 6 away now.
Yes.
We have Burkina Faso,
Niger,
Mali,
Côte d'Ivoire.
And which other one?
And more leading to other. So is President Tinubu a distraction to ECOWAS? Or is ECOWAS a distraction to him? Because with the Nigerian emergencies.
Thanking David Undeyin for exposing that President Tinubu was covertly going to go to Niger and fight a war that Nigeria was not ready for when they left, when the military took over there. He's now celebrating 50 years of ECOWAS while losing some states in Lagos State. I say that he just self-delusion.
I think he should have done his first 4 years.
Which child will tell the king that he's dancing naked now?
No, you have to go through.
There's no child in this case, because even the child that she says to is poor. Yes, so
on his way they will make him rich.
He will rather use that opportunity to tell the president to give him money.
He's been giving biscuit and
didn't you see Davido and
he's going to run with him.
Didn't you see Davido
introducing everybody in his gang?
He said these are your boys. They are APC members. That's what Davido said. These are your boys, sir.
Even though he is PDP.
You understand? So at the end of
the day,
it's
the Soludo wisdom.
At the end of the day, who's going to tell the king anything? This particular king have his way. He has a way of pulling people around. You know how much he spent to get everybody singing his praises? You understand? He's spending so much. He's giving out a lot.
Politicking.
Yes, that is his way.
The money that they are supposed to use to provide governance for us.
Yeah, they will not do that.
Okay. All of this summarized tells the story of Nigeria with this current administration. Enterprise TV wishes Nigeria and the government a happy mid-term anniversary. President Bola Ahmed Tinubu, you are on the threshold of glory to emerge as Nigeria's best ever president. If you take a listen to the masses, there is still time enough to make things better, because the purpose of every government is the popular implementation of the program of the masses. This is where we'll leave it today. Remember, if we don't speak up, we are just background noise in the symphony of silence. Till next time, keep questioning, keep laughing, and whatever you do, don't leave governance to the misfits. You can catch up with us, everything we do here on Enterprise TV across all our social media platforms at Enterprise TV 7. Thanks to all the esteemed X-ray specialists in the room called jurors for doing justices to today's topic. Till we come your way again, bye for now. Stay safe. God bless Nigeria.